Hello and welcome to part 2 of Imperial Diplomacy 6, I think this is, the tag in, tag out game that I am playing on and off with Ezio. Ezio is playing fall phases, I am playing in the spring, and we are playing as Russia. And if you've watched part 1, you may have noticed we weren't the most cohesive faction of all time. I should say I'm here once again with Ezio. Hi Ezio.
Hello, hello.
Who has graciously agreed to come back and record the second part of this commentary with me, despite what I did to him in this game. The first part, generally speaking, I was trying to work with Poland, Ezio was trying to work with Sweden, I was constantly trying to work with Safavid, who constantly stabbed us. Ezio was trying to work with Ottoman, but I stabbed Ottoman, and so they were unable to work with us beyond that point. And Turkestan has changed hands roughly 7 million times. Also, Japan and Qing at the end of the last commentary teamed up and started attacking us together, which isn't great news because we were relying on Tokugawa, or I was relying on Tokugawa helping us against Qing, and had refused to peace out Qing because I wanted to eliminate them. So all in all...
Yeah, whereas I was happy to peace out Qing, yep.
Yeah, exactly. So all in all, generally speaking, Ezio was pretty correct on what he wanted to do. I think that's also what the comments have, have let me know in no uncertain terms below the video. It may be that Ezio is just better at presenting his arguments, but somehow I do think that, yeah, there was some...
It helps that I get to talk about this game after the fact, knowing that what we did was wrong. And so I basically get to say, let's not do this. And I have a little bit of credibility because I wasn't trying to do this stuff during the game, but then I did go along with it. So I am complicit, and I bear just as much responsibility for this shitstorm that I bear as much responsibility for it as Captain Meme does, despite not trying to start a lot of it. I still did a lot of it.
That is very gracious of you. I do think I would have loved to see the game in the alternate world where you decided, screw you to me, and convoyed the army back from here, right? And just went all in on the Sweden alliance.
Really looking back at this game, it would have been better if I had done that. Because I'm just... First of all, the content, right? You have a country that's literally not agreeing. And then I think it would have undermined literally everything that either of us tried to do, period. Because people would know that we gave absolutely we had no respect for each other's deals, even internally.
Yeah, weirdly, I don't think...
I have all the power because I am the one in control of the fall.
That is absolutely true. Weirdly, I don't think that would have impacted our reputation that much more badly than it was already impacted during this game. Like, some of the messages that I received from players afterwards, particularly, like, Qing was someone who specifically came to me and said, after the game, one of the reasons why I found I couldn't work with both of you was that any slight against one of you, both of you would come down on me for, right? But any slight that one of you did to me, the other one would instantly forget about. So the alliance was sort of always going to be super one-sided, and they didn't feel like it was ever going to be something that they could balance. And then that's on top of just the fact that we weren't on the same page very often at all, right? So if you're the only power on the map playing a game like this, I think you will always be at a massive disadvantage because everyone feels like they can't trust you or they're going to get bad deals as a result of the way you're swapping out. One of the super interesting comments that I saw under the last video was a suggestion that we should try someday severance diplomacy, which was a super interesting concept. Ezio, have you seen the series Severance or not?
Was this one where just every country is doing the same thing that we're doing?
Kind of. So, Severance is a TV series where people who don't want to work, basically, they don't want to have a job, they undergo a surgical procedure where they split themselves into two personalities. One of their personalities only exists inside work, like it switches to them when they walk in, and the other personality is just the home life person, and neither of them can remember anything that's happened on the other side, right? So from the person who doesn't work's perspective, they walk into work and then they instantly wake up coming out at work, and then the other version of them wakes up walking into work, and then when they walk out of work, they instantly just come back into work again. It's a really cool concept and a really cool show. I think the diplomacy version is potentially even more cool. The idea would be that everyone on the map is doing this, right? Switching out between one and the other. But the two players who are working on the same country can't even see the press that's happened in the spring in the opposite side. Literally all they get given is the map. From the previous phase.
Well, and previous relationships, right? Because they still have all of their previous negotiations with the same people. They have the same, right? Because, like, if I'm taking over Fall and I'm interacting with Ching, who's doing whatever in the Fall, right? Like, they have the same person over there that I can still talk to.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right? I just don't know what happened in the spring. So, yeah.
So you're essentially completely disconnected from your partner and from everything that they're doing. You just get handed a result, but to you, you are playing the same continuous game with the same people every round, so you can build those relationships. It's just that the units may have changed position between.
Yeah, oddly. And then, man, I wonder why. Yeah, anyways.
I think that would be absolutely hilarious, and I'd be very down to do it at some point. But probably not at the moment, because we are both in a million games right now, right?
Yes. Well, we can start getting something put together and plan for the future. I don't know. It could be fun. I think it would be... I'd be hard-pressed to play that game in the spring. Right? To know that you're a spring player in that variant, it's like... Maybe on Imtip it could work. Because Imtip, the map is so big and there's so much space that spring sets you up for the fall execution.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas on, like, tighter maps that I prefer, right, the fall is the interesting part. So, yeah, on Imtip, I would be spring, but on, like, Helidip or standard, I'd be fall.
Gotcha. Right. Well, yeah, anyway, I think that would be a super interesting concept. It is a bit of a long tangent there, because it's obviously not related to the game itself, but honestly, it's a nice tangent, because the game itself is not going to go very well.
You can see we really actually don't want to analyze this game, we just feel obligated to do so.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so with that, we should probably get into actually analysing the game. And from now, for the next 2.5 years, Ezio will actually be analysing this from a third-person perspective, because you went on holiday, right? You went to Japan.
And Korea.
Nice. So yeah, from here on, we basically debated whether we should bring in another person to substitute Ezio's half. We kind of couldn't find someone, but at this point we were also thinking, well, the game's going so poorly that the gimmick maybe doesn't matter at this point.
We didn't want to subject anyone else to this misery.
Yeah, pretty much. So...
Don't get me wrong, we would have, if we got somebody to agree, but we didn't really want to.
So, as we go into the spring, this one is one of my phases, yes again. So you can see there are a few things happening here. Notably, I am evacuating Sweden at this point, moving everything out and just leaving a pretty minimal defense force there, getting ready to convoy this back. On the last turn, Ezio had stabbed the Safavids, right? When I was trying to work with them. That's another important thing to mention, actually. The Safavid player had substituted out for someone who was a lot more reasonable with us at this point, so I was looking to work with that person. And you know, when Ezio goes away, I start working with them again, right? So, and actually successfully for this turn at least, we have the cut on Yarkan, so this is guaranteed to go. Unfortunately, on the other front, things are less good. So, nothing actually making progress against us, apart from this move into the Gobi Desert, the supported move up here. Because I managed to bounce out this one, and for some reason they bounce each other here. I'm not actually sure why they do that. but they were actively trying to attack us at this point. I mean, do you have anything
And
to
it's
add?
self-balancing. I mean, it's a rough position. You got three countries that are all working together against us, and then we're gonna lose stuff. And I think we were losing a dot guaranteed in the fall, so that's not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe actually, maybe if they go for the guarantee, we can take Turfan back. So maybe it's not that bad. Um, yeah, right. Because we can tap Yarkand, and then we can like support ourselves with Turfan. A Turfan has to tap. Yeah, okay. There's tactics going on.
Yeah, I think we did lose Gobi Desert, so we've actually only got 3 on Turfan. I guess we can tap from here, sorry, is
Yeah,
what
exactly.
you're saying.
Right, we
Yeah.
can tap Turfan, and then we can like because in order to take Ik, right, they have to support from Gobi Desert into Ik, while Turfan taps Karakum.
Yeah.
And so that's the only way to actually take it. I actually bet they just don't do that. I bet we can just support Ik, and then we don't lose it. That's
Yeah.
fun.
It's certainly worth trying. At this point, I'm basically desperately talking to both of these two, trying to get them to flip against each other, and getting
Yeah, right.
absolutely nowhere. Right?
Yeah, I mean they've right. Ching already agreed to let Tokugawa take all of the coastal centers, and there's no reason for Tokugawa to do anything else now. So
Yeah,
there's that.
the main pitch that I was giving was primarily to Tokugawa, saying, look, at this point, like, at some point, Ching is gonna have recovered enough to just walk back into all these dots. And the response I got from Tokugawa was, Ice Cream Guy wouldn't do this to me after I saved him. Which, I mean, in diplomacy, that is completely reasonable. A lot of what you do is your read on the person, right? And the
Yeah,
press
that's
that
just
you
a
got.
long read.
But it's not the read I ever get from Ice Cream Guy. Like, I think he can be pretty brutally cutthroat. And I was
Yeah.
trying to make that very clear, but it was...
Yeah, I agree. He's
Yeah.
probably not going to do that until we've lost a lot. That's true. And so he's not going to do that in the near future. Yeah, that's a fair point. And that's more or less all that Nooster cares about. So
Yeah. Precisely. Alright, and yeah, so over here, basically, my line of negotiation with Poland, now that we are pretty much 100% all in with Poland, because we did kill Sweden, right? We don't have an ally against them necessarily anymore. My approach is basically, look, if we do go to war with Poland at this point, we are going to lose these dots no matter what. I think they're completely indefensible, which was probably why Ezio didn't want to go for them in the first place. But also, Poland has a really high victory condition, right? They're currently on 16 out of 42. My impression is that this area is way too easy to, like, stalemate up and lock up, and they can't really get enough out of us to justify stabbing us that hard. I think they have to go into Austria, and so giving them the space to go into Austria is kind of important, because they really only have 2 choices. They can go into us, or they can go into the Austrians, right?
yeah.
If you were Poland in this position, would you take a specific option there?
Oh, if I'm Poland, then yeah, I'm not going to stab us either. I agree. I definitely I fight for Central European dots as well. I agree. But I don't think you remembered how he played in the last game.
Yeah. I mean, importantly, like, you were the person who had
Yeah.
experienced that, right?
Oh yeah. And I was saying we probably shouldn't work with this guy the entire game. Because in the last game that he played, he was Austria, and Austria is a tough country to win with. But he made the exact same mistake, where he wasn't playing to reach victory condition. He was playing to get slightly more dots in the next couple turns.
Mm-hmm.
And with that constant short term, I'm going to take dots, like not trying to win, but just here's an easy fight to take, but to an extreme. It doesn't get these really tough countries into winning positions. And so when I see him convoying these armies and like moving armies into position to take Stockholm, Umia, and Gothenburg with armies, not with fleets, obviously he's going to kill us.
Yeah. I think I was, at this point, on Hopium, right? Just, like,
Yes.
I've
Yeah,
committed.
full on hopium.
I've committed already.
Yes.
Like, I can't afford to attack Poland now.
Yeah, so let's like convoy our army in Trondheim over to Spitsbergen,
Yeah, to then
right?
get convoyed
Like,
off this way, right? Um,
sure, yeah. And I mean, hey, we need armies in the east. That's fine, whatever.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's just when the armies get convoyed, I'm like no longer thinking there's even a chance, right? Because from here, Poland can take Stockholm and Umea easily with fleets. But no, they're making the time to use their armies to put a fleet in Narva or something. Like, I don't. Again, it's
Yeah.
right. They could have just moved Gulf of Riga into Helsingfors, taken Umea with the fleet, and then started moving Narva south as well. Right, get it to like Courland for a convoy to Brandenburg, or like convoy it straight. I don't know. Anyways, stuff could happen. But by putting armies there, they want to move armies to attack us in Western Norway. Um, and yeah. Oh well.
Yep. I should also say, with your talking about this player earlier on, the whole
Yeah.
focus on the next few dots thing can actually work really well for certain countries, right? When I'm playing stuff like a colonial, that's often how I'm thinking. How can I eke a few more dots out of this region? Like, keep those
Yeah.
builds going and just keep rolling momentum. The problem is really when you get, as you were mentioning, something like Austria, once you get to the coastline, you're so stuck in that area unless you've had the forward planning of building a bunch of fleets and setting up the correct alliances, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Austria and Poland have a really, really tough time of winning in this variant for this reason.
hmm
It's just tough to get to. How many do they need? Like 40?
Yeah, it's insane for Poland.
Right?
42.
Yeah, Poland needs 42, and Austria needs the same, like, whatever, 38 or 28 or something? 28?
Austria is
No, no,
32.
38
So
maybe.
they're
32? Okay, yeah, right? It's still, that's so many centers. And, like, even if you conquer literally all of mainland Europe, if you don't get out into Eastern Europe, I don't think you reach 32.
yeah.
Um, and so it's a really tough country to win as, right? Obviously, and then Poland has it even worse because they're a colonial, they've got those dots elsewhere.
hmm
And in Poland's defense in this game, if you look at the Caribbean, Poland actually has some dots over there. You'll see more. You can learn more about how that's happening if you watch the England game analysis. But I mean, we don't care about it. That's the Caribbean.
yes.
But yeah, so it's like notably those Caribbean dots make the position so much worse because when you become a solo threat, if it looks like you're going to win, people will take those dots, and I think it's more or less impossible to make your Caribbean holdings unassailable as Poland with only one core in the region. This is the best I've seen Poland do in the Caribbean, and even still, England can conquer all of it whenever he wants.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not looking good. But Poland's gonna have a tough time winning. I agree. Point is, I'm just saying, I think he's gonna attack us, and I don't think it's gonna go well for him. I agree, but also you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. So yeah, I did actually also want to mention there was an A2 game, I think, where Poland did incredibly well in like all theaters. That's probably one to take a look at if we want to ever examine how a Poland can do super well, because that probably did involve some serious forward planning. But
Yeah, I mean, it's at some point, if you're just the best player in a game, you're gonna win.
yes.
Period.
Um,
You're gonna do a good job at getting negotiations and diplomacy, and you're gonna make deals. You're gonna identify the right allies, who's trustworthy, who isn't, and then make better deals to give yourself better positions in the long term, and it can just keep snowballing. So
yeah,
that can just
100%.
happen in a game.
I do actually want to ask viewers this, and this is again me avoiding doing the commentary on the specific game for a little bit longer, but usually we commentate our own Imperial diplomacy games, right? I think commentating a game that we're not playing in is a little impossible just because of how much there is going on everywhere. You saw that with 1842, the variant that we commentated last time. Where we were going through each individual part of the map and it just took a very long time, right? And that was a slightly smaller map than this. But if there are specific games that we can focus on one specific power and look at how they did very well, right? I think that's something we can commentate in the future. So if there is a specific power that people really want to see a commentary for, please comment it in the comments below, and I'll have a look through that and see if there are any games that we can look at to see what's a great example of this country's play, right? It might take us a little while to get round to them because we do have a little bit of a backlog at the moment, but I think it's gonna be, it'll be super interesting to look at. Alright, now I've talked, I can't avoid talking about this game any longer, but we've pretty much covered this phase, right? There's not that much
I think so.
going on.
And this fall isn't even going to be that bad for us, probably. I mean, we're not going to lose any dots this fall, I don't think.
Yeah.
Except for the one in the east, maybe.
Yakutsk. I mean, even there, we're not going to.
No, not Yakutsk. It's Ikuri, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This self bounce here saves us so much. I don't know why they did this. I think it must have been miscommunication.
Yeah, I assume, but
yeah.
Oh well.
All right, let's go through to the fall. So, quick reminder: this is still me. Ezio is on holiday, so I'm still working with Safavids. And you can see that they did get supported up against us here and chose not to go for it. Safavid is going all in against the Mules now, which I'm really happy to see. I've finally got someone I can stick with as an ally, right? This is Ewok coming into the Safavid position, and we just hit it off really well. Because he's Ewok and he's really good at that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I do fail to take Tofan here, because I defend Ikuri, but it means I managed to keep that. So
yeah, and I mean, look, the analysis. I'm proud of my analysis, which was we could probably actually just support hold Ik, and then it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think we came to the same conclusion because Mugles is never in a million years risking this center to help Qing take an extra one here. That's.
Probably not, no.
Yeah. Especially when Qing is moving into Gansu below. They are technically working together in this region, but this is... Yeah. You may want to be a bit careful getting this many units on the border. As Mughals. Yeah. And we get a little bit of position here, but again, there's a lot of enemy units here. This is a little problem.
We don't have enough units to really hold everything.
Yep. Absolutely. And so I really probably should have convoyed this back to Obdorsk on this way, right? But at this point, I am kind of terrified of the same thing Ezio has been mentioning, which is that these moves from Poland don't look very anti-Austrian, let's just put it that way. They look like they're setting up for something else.
Yeah, definitely just we're going to attack the Ottomans. They're the only enemy here. Definitely, yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and of course, it'll take a long time to take out the Ottomans. I'm sure that'll give... That's why they're not mobilizing in any other direction yet at all.
Yep.
Yep, not even mobilizing Smolensk anywhere. And moving Ruthenia into Kiev, which, again, doesn't seem very anti-Austrian. I had outright Ted to Poland basically at this point. Look, if you're going to win, you really need to attack Austria here. I am going to do everything I can to give you that space. I'm happy to pull everything out of this area, right? I want to keep these two on the border just to be safe, but if you want me to do anything specific with them, let me know and I'll take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Can just do some random self-bounces. These aren't threatening to you. Make sure that you can get in on Austria. And Poland had gone, yeah, I can do that. And then walked away from them. And then goes...
Support them into dots.
Yeah, and then goes, well, I can't do it right now because Austria's gaining stuff and will build here if I go in on them now, right? I can't take any immediate centers. And you're just like, oh, come on.
Yeah. I mean, look, that is a fair point, right? You want to find a good time to make a stab happen, right? So that's a thing that's reasonable and fair. But, from our perspective, I recognize that is happening, but this is it feels more like an excuse that he gave to us to not attack instead of actually a reason to not attack.
Yeah.
If you want to make a stab happen here, you just like don't support them into the center and like walk into Silesia. And like things actually go okay. You could like support yourself into Zips while walking into Silesia, right?
Yeah,
I think that works pretty well.
You can't support, right? Oh, unless you're walking in from Brandenburg, and then
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that working potentially.
Yeah, and then like take Umia, and notably, right, part of this is worse because we've schlepped 2 armies up into Sweden instead of having armies around to deal with Austria and using our fleets to take Sweden.
Yep.
Right? That is a problem because we saw in the spring this was happening. It makes it worse for this move to happen in the fall, which is understandable. But like, hey, what else are we supposed to do about it, right? I like self-bouncing in Kursk or wherever. I think that's a reasonable move to make. Again, I think your reasoning is good. We think that this is a move that is in their strategic interest, and we also want it to happen. So let's enable it as much as we can, but also we don't want to leave ourselves exposed because we want the move that we want them to do to continue being the best move, right? I think that's exactly the way to handle it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I probably would have done similar stuff in the fall, actually. I think this turn, this looks great.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically that the position is so screwed if Poland attacks us regardless, right? That we can just keep the minimal units here. Like, what I'm doing seems reasonable because we're already committed to this. There's nothing more I can do, right? At this point, we just gotta hope that they do that. And I am really hoping.
Yeah, and encourage it, right? We're hoping, but we're also pushing for it to happen. It's not just a blind hope. We've done the analysis, and this move, I think, is in their best interest long term if they're trying to win. And also, we're not giving them any free dots. They can't take anything from us. So, I mean, again, they can take the 3 Swedish dots, right?
Yep.
They're going to get those.
Yep.
And that's fine.
And
well, I mean,
I should say at this point, I think I've told them, maybe it wasn't at this point, maybe it was a little later, but I certainly, at some point here or very soon, tell them, look, you can take those dots when you want, just let me know when you want them, and please take them slowly, so that we can, like, I can make up for it somewhere else. Like, if you need them, I'm happy to give. Basically, anything that makes you go against Austria at this point, I'm happy to do. It's... Just
yeah, and I think, and I actually think that was a mistake.
Oh boy.
I think offering it like that makes it seem like it's so obviously in our interest that we're willing to sell 3 dots for it, as opposed to saying no, you can't have these dots because you need to attack Austria for your own sake. You just need to do that, and no, we're not. I'm not going to bribe you to do this thing that you so clearly need to do. It's not my fault you don't see it.
Yeah. Maybe that's...
And I think, again, it's not a kind way to negotiate, but you kind of got to smack the Austrian player in the head.
Yeah. Alright, well that concerns Poland at this point. As mentioned, I am working with Safavids pushing in this direction. And remember, Ewok has subbed in, completely reasonable, and has let me know he will be subbed in for a very long time, right? And no diplomacy player would ever lie about something like that.
In order to give themselves a good alliance? Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. Alright.
Or he's gonna be here forever.
Yes. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we turn the phase over?
Yeah, does Safavid sub in this phase, or is it next one?
They sub it back in the winter, so... So yes, at this point, the Safavid player I've just worked super well with leaves the game, and the old player who has repeatedly stabbed us returns. But Ewok had left in his message saying, hey, please work with Russia. They will work alongside you. They will be like super good allies, and we're in a great position together to push into the Mughals, right? And make some decent progress.
Wait, did he actually leave that message?
He said he did.
All right. I need receipts. I love Greg, but I'm suspicious. Okay, I can. Okay, you keep talking while I look. This is gonna
Okay.
take me a minute.
I would need to go and check. It might be that the newer Safavid player told me that Ewok sent something along those lines, but I certainly know that Safavid came back in. The old Safavid player, so Droids, came back in saying, look, I'm completely prepared to work with you. It looks like we've got an awesome position here. Let's just keep it rolling, right? I really like what you guys have been able to do here, and I'm happy to continue it. And of
Hell
course,
yes.
I'm like, yeah, I'm very down for that. But in my mind, I'm like, oh my god. I mean, based on board position, I believe him. I think that it makes sense for the Safavids to stick with us here. But I've thought that before with this Safavid player, and they have attacked us regardless, right? So there's a question there of, is he actually going to stick to that or not? That wasn't there when Ewok was playing. Yeah. And you're still on holiday, so you don't have to worry about this at all.
I haven't seen any of us working with Safavid. I haven't seen any of the other one. But
yep.
yeah.
Indeed. Alright, so let's go ahead to the next spring then. And you will see that Safavid does actually continue working with us. So they push into Uzgen with our help. The agreement is then that I take Yarkan on the next turn, right? And they're just protecting themselves in Gore for the moment, making sure that they keep their solid line and pushing in on the Indian coast. So there you go, the big surprise, Safavid is actually continuing to work with us despite the sub-outs. So I was very, very happy to see that, obviously. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and over here, all of these armies are now moving downwards. We still have the two armies on the border each, and those are sort of just countering each other. Nothing is happening here. But if we look a little bit more to the west, we can see a big problem emerge. And suddenly Ezio gets to go, I told you so, even more than he already had the right to.
Is the up back in? No, not yet. Sorry, no, I got
No.
I subbed in to an even worse position. Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Yeah, so Ezio comes back next fall. So not this coming fall, the fall after that. I still have a full year and a half on this. Yeah, Poland is full committing against us, and no units on the Austrian line at all. He has decided this is the way he wants to go. He's also decided to go all in on these dots. I don't know why he goes here with this army instead of just, using it from Stockholm. But I guess he probably wants to slip the fleet out, right? So it gets it out of the way for that. But yes, he is going to attack us here, which is problematic, and here. And I have very few armies to deal with it, because despite having convoyed here out of an abundance of caution, I was then like, I probably should have convoyed to Obdorsk just to get it over there quicker, because I need the army over there regardless because of what's going on this front. And I was all in on trusting Poland anyway, so I probably don't need the unit at home. If that goes the wrong way, we're screwed regardless, so I need to bet on the high roll. And it did not work out. So, the good news is we are only guaranteed to lose Novgorod this year. Oh, and Christiania. Okay, so 2 dots. I can protect Trondheim, and they haven't got position to take Moscow because I bounced them out of Bakhchisarai, right? The bad news is literally everything else. This is not a holdable position in the slightest. The Safavid player is subbed back into the one who's happier to stab us. And this is going to destabilize this area as well, most likely, so there's a potential for them to just push up this way. Which is all just a massive nightmare. Ezio, any further comments? That's a pretty good summary of it. Oh, man. Weirdly, this wasn't the thing that made me the most mad in the game. The Poland just coming for us when I thought it was definitely not in Poland's interest to come for us. Because that is often what makes...
They're gonna get it done. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're gonna get a dot. Like they're taking Novgorod. I mean, it's not that bad, right?
Yeah.
And they're gonna get another one, right? Yeah, they're getting 2 dots from stabbing us, right? Like, oh come on, we've all done these stabs before.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Absolutely.
certainly done some bad stabs that weren't of my strategic interest because I get short-term dots. Like, surely everyone else has too, right? Right?
I mean, I definitely have. I've done some short-term stabs that haven't got me any dots. So,
I don't. Anyways, yes, I
all right.
believe you. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Oof.
And yeah, while we're looking at this problem over here, and of course this is going okay, other front not going very well. I
Yeah, I mean,
lose
it's when we're outnumbered.
Ikkari, they get into Yakutsk. This whole defense, all it ends up doing is getting my army into Baratia, which is something, right? It does stop the army from being force disbanded, which is nice. I have an extra army on this front, but this position is just horrible. There's so many enemy armies along this line, and all I managed to do was take Tafan, which is not. It's not the same enemy, even, so I didn't really do anything useful on this line. Big problem. And these guys won't break apart. Tokugawa and Qing are very solidly aligned right now. Yeah, anything to add, Ezio?
In this message that Ewok sent, where he needs to work with us.
Oh, did you find it?
No, I don't find it. That's the point.
You didn't
Ewok
find it.
said he found a message that was saying, "Oh yeah, you absolutely should work with Russia."
Oh, okay. Maybe it was left in their confessional. Are you looking through their confessional right now, or?
Yeah. I'm looking through their void. I see. Not the droid say this is like right around the timing where droid sells back in. So yeah, and droid says, "Hey, we're gonna attack Mughal because they're gonna win the game, and so we can try to build up some momentum in the south with Russia."
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's what not the droid says. And then here, like droids is agreeing with stuff, talking about things, but
Well, here we go. So in these Imperial diplomacy games, players have voice where they can take notes and stuff, right, and talk to spectators about what their thoughts are on the game. Not what the spectators' thoughts are on the game. That would be cheating. But just give their own thoughts on the game. And also, it's where substitutes can talk to each other. And two people playing the same country can usually talk to each other. But of course, Ezio and I have not been doing that in this game deliberately.
we're not to use it.
Yes. Alright, so shall we move ahead to the next phase then?
Sure.
Alright. So yeah.
And this is still you.
Yes, this is still me. I do retreat up to Sakar here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this general position. So I'm going to reveal the moves map in a moment. But one thing that happens in this phase, and it's such a turnaround from everything else that's happened in the rest of the game, right? Because I think this game is potentially my worst performance of all time. Especially in terms of decision making. But one thing that happens on this next phase is genuinely the proudest I've been of anything I've ever done in diplomacy, right? Not from a diplomatic perspective. This game was still horrendous from that perspective, but just purely moves-wise. So, if you want a fun little puzzle to go over here, is there any way, from this position, that you can keep Yakutsk?
I mean, no.
You would think.
Ask the analysis. No, obviously not, because they can like support or like tap or whatever, right? They got enough units around. They can like tap everything, and you can't. Yeah, okay. I mean, literally, they can guarantee it if they want to, right? They can like tap Rayata and Amur and Sakara,
Yeah.
right? They can just literally tap everything. So if they want to keep Yakutsk, they can.
Yes, but there is a slight issue with that for them, which is that if they do exactly... So what Ezio is saying they should do, like the enemy should do if they want to guarantee 100% that they take Yakutsk, is go Ikkari into Baratia to tap that to make sure it can't support, in Digurika to Amur to tap that one to make sure it can't support, and Evens to Sakar to make sure that can't support. So none of these 3 units can support in, which means any attack on Yakutsk will be 1 strength, right? There is no way you can take that back. That does have one downside, and that one downside... Yeah. Do you want to explain it?
No, you do.
Okay, so that one downside is because you're tapping Sakar from Evens, and you are tapping Amur from Indigirika, right? Sakar can actually support an attack against Evens, because a unit can't cut support against itself. So if as the Russian player you want to counter this guaranteed moveset, you would move Amur into Evens with Sakar support, and take Evens back. And because Evens is moving, it can't be support held by Kural C, right? And there isn't really a great way to guarantee that you stop that. How would you stop that if you had to, Ezio?
Well, I can just have Yakutsk tap Saks, because then it can't support the attack into Evens, and then we'll be fine, right? All supports get cut anyways, so you can't take Yakutsk anyways, and then you also can't take Evens because Evens gets tapped.
Yes, exactly. So if you have Yakutsk tap Sakar as well as Evens tapping Sakar here, that actually protects you against everything. Russia can't do anything at all. You would think. Notably, in diplomacy, thinking along these lines is usually a mistake. You can't go saying, okay, my opponent will have spotted this, and they will do these very specific moves to counter this, and these very specific moves to counter the counter to that, right? If you enter moves along that are based on your opponents doing exactly that, it will usually all fail.
Yeah, this part is really good advice. Don't do this stuff.
But if you're having an absolute train wreck of a game and it's all going to hell anyway because Poland is invading you when they really should be invading Austria, and you're losing this front regardless, you may as well YOLO it. And if
you want to make moves for the content, then you can do it. So when you're ready to start your own diplomacy channel, you too can make moves like this. Not to win games, but to talk about it.
So, I had the advantage of knowing as well that Qing was coordinating the strategy between Tokugawa and Qing on this front, and Ice Cream Guy is an incredible strategist, like tactician even. He is someone who will analyze all of the moves and find the outright best moves in every scenario. And so, I was 100% convinced that he would find this exact moveset that Ezio mentioned, the Ikari to Baratia, Indigirika to Amur, and then have Yakutsk and Evens tap Sakar. Now, here's the puzzle part of this. If you're Russia, is there anything you can do to counter that?
Yeah, you support Yakutsk up, and then they get screwed.
Yeah, let's move forward to the next phase. This fleet in Laptev Sea. And this is so all-in because you cannot dislodge your own unit in diplomacy, so I also had to walk Sakar out and do something completely random with it that was not involved in the war at all. Otherwise, this wouldn't have worked, right? Because Yakutsk and Evens would bounce together, so I had to add the support. If Sakar stays there, then this support doesn't even work. That unit stays in Yakutsk, and this is getting tapped. In this case, the tap comes from Chichihad. Sorry, that was better than the Ikari tap anyway, so... but yeah, so this is exactly what I do. I move Sakar out of the way, I support Yakutsk up into Sakar, and their entire strategy falls apart, and I managed to keep Yakutsk for this turn. Was that worth the amount of stuff that I did to do it? Absolutely not. But I found it so hilarious that I managed to keep this dot in this circumstance.
It is an impressive dot to keep.
It's absolutely insane. And it does become incredibly relevant in this phase. I will show you why in a little bit once we're done talking about the rest of the map. Right? Other things here didn't go so well. I did manage to, reposition hard against Qing here. And actually this is properly horrendous for Qing. And that is because You will note, I walk into Kiva.
I forgot. Oh, that's right. You stab Safavid here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you dot him.
So, the one time in this game we've managed to get a rock-solid ally and start working together with them...
No, you did it to the Ottomans too.
Okay,
This
yes.
is not the first time.
It's not the first time. I go in against them. And in this case, it was because, as much as I hate to admit that Ezio is right on stuff, right? You said that you advise Mughals that if they talk to me for a long time, they will get me on side, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yes.
I did say that, didn't I?
And at this point, Mughals and I had a very long discussion about their endgame goals, about what we could do together, right? I think as a direct result of your tip-off to them, and specifically about how neither of us trusted droids after what he had done. And of course, the player that I'd aligned myself with wasn't in the game anymore. Ewok had subbed out, and I was worried that, especially as Poland advances on this front, Safavid is gonna seize the opportunity here and come and attack us, right? Is that worth throwing away your only ally for? That's an excellent question. And Safavid was so angry with me after I did this, like, absolutely fuming at me, and I can completely understand it because it's a 1-dot stab.
Yeah.
It's...
Like, could we have taken Yarkand even, this phase?
I don't think we could have...
Not without Hisar, right?
Oh, we were cutting, and then we could have double supported it, right? So I think we actually could have taken Yarkand this phase.
Yeah, but like, he can't get pissed at us when he's support holding Uzgen. Hisar needed to be supporting Turkestan into Yarkand, so we could use Turfin to do other stuff, right?
That is true. That would be...
Yeah, so he should have been helping out there. But, no, you dotted anyways. You were going to dot no matter what, because we could have taken Yarkand.
Yeah. Also notably, though, if I had taken Yarkand here...
Yeah.
Where's the next dot after that? Because I get Turfan anyway, right? Pushing down south here doesn't seem very helpful. What it does do is it frees up units to come in this direction, which is probably correct. To stick with someone we know will work with us to do that.
Well, okay, I just want to take a time, scroll to the right real quick, all the way to the score screen.
Yes. So this is...
That's the reason why we maybe should attack this person. I know balance of power sucks. Don't get me wrong here, but at least it's a reason why we should try to stop Mughals from just snowballing over this game, and at least half of it is doing it. Anyways, I am supportive of this stab because we can't work with droids.
Yes.
Right? Because of droids subbing back in, and, like, you felt betrayed because you only built your alliance with Ewok because he said he would be here for a long time, and then he wasn't. And so it was like, oh god, now Droids is back. Right? And so we weren't able to figure that out in the game, and so, okay, we couldn't do that. So here we go for it. And I love how you leave Fleet Astrakhan open.
Yes.
Because if we're stabbing, let's actually stab the guy. Let's 1-dot him, and then let's make it real by putting a fleet down there.
Yeah, so this was also part of my logic here, right? If I'm gonna make progress in this area, we absolutely need the Caspian Sea Fleet. It's such a strong unit, and it's something I should have built instead of Fleet Obdorsk.
Such a strong unit.
Way back when, now is my chance to, get redemption, right? And actually, when I made this stab, I was so concerned that Ezio would come back and go, what the hell are you doing, meme? Like, we just managed to get a secure alliance and now you're flipping on him again. But you were over the moon when you saw this. Like, I saw your press, you were like, oh yeah, we're not working with Safavids anymore.
Thank God. Well, it was, again, because I was pissed when Ewok subbed in, and he immediately turned you around and got you to disband our units that were in position to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I was like, this is ridiculous, because I know that Droids is going to come back, and then it's going to fall apart again. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, maybe there's actually a chance. Obviously, our position is terrible and we're exploding, but no, I'm like, yeah, let's work with the people we can work with.
Yeah. Uh, Yeah, so this is what happens here. I stab the Safavids. You can see that I'm having to actually run units away from the Polish border in order to do this, which seems somewhat wild while we're losing so much stuff. But I figure at this point, our best bet is actually just like going hard in on Safavid and trying to reclaim the dots that we're losing up here from that. Because we're really just not going to be able to hold this line. We can delay them maybe, but we need to get replacement dots from elsewhere. And we do indeed lose two over here. We lose Novgorod and we lose Christiania. And if I recall correctly, the exact results of this, because we go plus Tafan here, we don't lose Yakutsk, and we go plus Khiva, is that we have one build going into the next phase.
Pop something, right? We have to pop the fleet Christiania.
Yes. Hang on. So I actually popped both units, and I think I still only get one build. I need to check this, but let me just see what. Oh, wait, it's written on the side here, right? Yeah. So we have one build after those pops, and so Yakutsk actually ends up being insane. Like, that is the saving grace that means we're able to build Fleet Astrakhan here. Because otherwise I would have gone hard in on Safavids that last turn and then not been able to build the unit that lets us attack them.
Yeah. Because you'll notice, right, that Derbent line, the Tifu Derbent, the two of them support holding each other, we can never break without a fleet.
Yep.
But with the fleet, we just take Derbent.
Yeah. And we're pretty well positioned to just push down this line, except for the fact that there's a ton of Polish armies standing here, right? But we're just going to ignore them for the moment and hope that nothing happens.
I mean, still, Poland, right, needs to attack Austria at some point.
Yes.
If Poland wants to win this game, that remains true.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, great, Poland's going to get our dots, and then like they're going to get the dots in Norway, and then are they going to take Moscow and Arkhangelsk? Maybe. Arkhangelsk is going to be annoying for them to take. We've got fleet around in the area to make their life a little harder.
Don't
like,
actually have
what
any
are
fleets here.
Oh, we don't? Here. Oh my. Anyways,
there's one here.
Fleet Obdorsk, baby.
We should have built that instead of Astrakhan. That's where it all went wrong.
You know what I mean? If you had put this fleet down in Obdorsk. Oh my god, imagine. Anyways, we're good. Okay, point is, it's annoying, right? And like, so I understand taking Moscow. Fine, It's a dot, you gotta take it, do your thing. Well, like, and maybe, and Arkhangelsk, right? I can see taking those two, because they're right here. But like, I think take those two, and then like, you built two armies down on the west, maybe you can start pushing west, right? Take what's easy, fine, you gotta do what you gotta do, but like, we're pretty committed to the south. I think you can take it and then just back up.
Yes. Precisely, and that's the angle I take in negotiations this turn as well. Pretty much, I go to Poland and I say, hey, if you want to win this game, you need to attack Austria. There's no way you win this game without doing that. There's just too many dots for you to climb going this way. Because also, if you come into Arkhangelsk and Moscow, that opens up maybe Astrakhan and Shache as your longer-term dots, but you're not getting past this line. There's no way that you ever get into Verkhoturye. That's probably not how you
Even if you do. Right? Even if you theoretically do, we're just not talking dot quantity here. Right? Mm-hmm. Taking all of this land, which looks like such a big amount of land on screen, is like 6 dots.
Yeah, if you get Obdorsk.
Even if everything, your dreams come true, and you get this all, you get 6. Okay, that gets you to 29?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Where are you getting the next 13 from? Right? If you zoom in on Austria, there's 6 dots and like a 3 square inches on this screen.
Yep.
And so it's deceptive because it's so small, but like Jutland and Bremen, right? And Kiel, or sorry, not Jutland, Kiel and Bremen, right? There's two small dots right there, right? Those are big, right? And then this Prague area, right? This is where you can get enough dots to actually win. And yeah, you can have Moscow and Arkhangelsk as part of it, but you're not going to win the game by just pushing east. You have to push west.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
good luck. You see. You guys know what happens, right? Obviously, you've been playing like this for so long. You guys know what happens.
So this was what I said to Poland, right? I basically said, okay, look, I see you have position. I see you want these dots, right? Trondheim and Bergen. I see you also want Arkhangelsk and Moscow. Like, look at the armies. It's whatever at this point. I just want to be able to do the best I can in this game. I know I can't win. I've gone all in on this push on Safavids. Honestly, I think it doesn't really matter to you whether I manage to push it on Safavids or not. They don't really impact you very much. What you need to be able to do is go this way against Austria. I understand you'll need builds for that. Take whatever you need. Take Trondheim, take Bergen, take Arkhangelsk, take Moscow. I think I actually asked that he doesn't take more than 3 in one turn. That was my one condition on this.
Yeah, but take 2 dots this turn.
Don't take more than 3. So he could take 3 this turn if he wanted to.
Wait, you could even take... Sure. Whatever.
So,
okay, great.
Yeah, and just make sure that you can pull your units back and that you can actually give yourself a chance to win in this game, because what you're doing right now is not going to win you this game. And I also said, if you screw with me on this, I'm just gonna make the rest of the game, like, for the rest of the game, I'm gonna stand in this line and not let you go forward. And that is gonna be it.
Screwing with me means taking 4 dots, not just 3.
Yeah, and hell, if he had come to me and said, I want to take 4 dots anyway, but I'll go after Austria if I do, I would probably have gone, okay, sure, just go after Austria, for God's sake. Like, I want you to have a chance to win in this game. I mean, at this point, I was fairly frustrated with Poland, so I would have been quite happy with them not winning the game, right? But I want you to do what's best for your nation, because it's also best for mine. And seeing you not do that is really tilting, right?
Oh yeah, seeing people screw themselves to screw you more, man, that sucks.
Yeah. So, shall we see what happens when the phase turns over? I think actually this first phase... You can see I just back out and go, take whatever. Obviously he doesn't move anything in this direction at all, and just goes into all of them. And I was left seething, not able to post about it because it's now Ezio's turn, right? But going, I am so glad that Ezio is taking over now, because I would probably say some stuff to him that would get me cancelled. I don't know, like, how rude do you have to be to someone in a diplomacy game to get cancelled?
I mean, I was the one being rude to everyone, because I come back in this phase feeling nice and liberated after my vacation, and then I look at this, and I'm like, huh, where did all of our dots go? I remember sending a message to England, who I had a solid rapport with, where I essentially said, hey, do you have any idea what the fuck Captain Neem was doing while I was gone? And then he sends me a message, something like, dude, I don't know, man.
Yeah, and literally everyone thought I was completely insane doing what I was doing on this phase, because it was so obvious that Poland was going to attack me, right? And I just pull out and let him. But I think diplomatically it made sense, right? Poland needed to do that, and I needed Poland to do that. Poland needed to attack Austria. I needed Poland to attack Austria to have any chance at all in this game. So you kind of have to go all in and say, alright, I'm going to do anything that I can to make this happen, even if it looks completely insane. And it was just completely insane at the end of the day, because Poland comes in anyway. And the reason for this, at this point, because Poland does actually talk to me about this later, is that Poland had given up on winning the game. They had said, I don't care about winning anymore, I just want to be in a game-long alliance with Austria, and that's my win condition. Hey, so this is post-recording Meme here, editing this video. I just wanted to butt in here to say, one of the reasons that we didn't really want to commentate this video, this game, is that when you're as tilted from a game as we were, it's very easy to portray other people's actions in your own view of them, right? To look at it and go, this didn't make any sense to me, so I'm just going to flame them for it. And I do think we kind of avoid that in general during this video, but this is probably one of the moments where it's more questionable, because what Poland actually said to me was that they didn't want to stab Austria unless they had a better chance of winning the game. In the commentary here, I say that they wouldn't stab Austria because they'd given up on winning the game. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think if they had a clear path to the win that they saw for themselves, they may well have done it. But here they, specifically in their own words, and I completely misquoted him here, I wasn't actually looking at the press, he didn't want to stab Austria if there wasn't a clear path to that win, because it would be ruining Austria's chance of the win as well. Alright, back to the commentary. And sometimes people do that, and in this case it really tilted me because I think Poland had a chance at winning this game if they went against Austria. And maybe not a huge chance because other nations are racing towards the victory line right now. And now that I'm out of the game, I'm less angry about what Poland did, right? Because that is a huge margin to crack, and you have had a solid relationship with this Austrian player throughout. Sometimes you're just like, I don't want to screw my friend over for a tiny chance of victory. But certainly when I was in the game, I was not happy with this.
I'm still not happy.
Yeah.
I realize that I am in the minority on this, but this is throwing.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing that you have a move that gives you a better chance to win and then not taking it is throwing. Most people are like, oh, well, they're not letting me take my dots, right? I'm not letting them take my dots. I'm not throwing or whatever, right? They have these like very abstract definitions of throwing, and it's like far more rich. And I'm like, no, you're not trying to win the game anymore. Sub out. Mm-hmm. If you don't care about winning this game, get out of my game so I can play with people who do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be as harsh as that, but I certainly felt like that during the game.
I care. If I'm playing in these games, right, like,
yeah,
try to win.
I mean, also, I think you tend to care about winning a lot more than I do, in terms of I'm a bit more whimsical about it at times. I remember in the Blitz game that we played once where I was, like, trying to enter a convoy order to to work with Ajuran on the last turn of the game as like a friendly aim move, and then you changed my order to attack Maldives or something because you thought that I was throwing by doing that.
Yes, because we were trying to win the game on the last turn of the game that we knew was the last turn of the game, and you were doing some meme convoy to let them dot us.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Fair, but like sometimes you need
they went for the convoy and like things. Didn't it work out like we lost the dot by doing what I suggested anyways?
Yeah.
I feel like I remember this blew up in my face, right? Because like something weird happened.
It wasn't that we lost the dot. It was that we didn't we bounced someone out of Maldives and Ceylon was open, so we could have just walked in that way. But the main thing was the convoy didn't happen, and Ajuran was. I don't want to say very upset. I think they were kind of amused by the meme, but like I was very upset that I didn't get to give Ajuran their meme convoy.
Oh, Ajuran is still pissed about it. I remember seeing the person. I don't remember who it was, but I remember seeing them post about it and complain about like this being right. That was their only interaction with me the entire game, and it was me screwing with them in this end game state, and then. I forget. There was some other game where they brought this up. It was probably World Chaos. They probably mentioned this. It's their only interaction with me, so they don't like me. So
that's.
I mean, look, fair, but also on the last turn of the game, when we're in position to win the game, it's not a time to get us to do things. And sorry, I on the throwing stuff, I don't feel that like I'm not going to. This is on the scale of throws from Poland. This is a minor one. Just not playing to win, right, and playing to stick with your ally. That's just Care Bears. Care Bears do that all the time, right? That is a common thing that happens in diplomacy. Specifically with throwing, there are other throws in this game that will occur that I am more pissed about. So this isn't even like a top 3, I think, throw in this game. So great.
Man, I'm trying to think what the other ones are, but I guess we'll see
Oh,
as
we'll
we
get
go.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, the we haven't really looked at the rest, but I do just advance down on this front, right? Suddenly this is a lot weaker with Poland actually coming in and attacking us, but I think we gotta dedicate as much as possible to this, right? And helping the Mughals into Uzgen on the condition that they put us in Bukhara next. We got this nice, potentially nice line coming up on them now, and they are making progress down here as well, right? And you can see Safavids are going, well, screw you, Russia. I was going all in on working with you. And Safavids were really mad about what we've done here. And it is pretty reasonable as well, because I did just flush their game down the toilet, right? They can't. They're so screwed as a result of what I just did. And it was because they decided to work with me. And then I one-dotted them.
You justified them attacking us.
Yeah, I one-dotted them and then dedicated my entire game to attacking them, which... Yeah, I would be mad as the Safavids in that case as well.
You see how pissed we are at Austria about Austria attacking us and getting like 4 dots off of us.
Poland, yeah.
Right after all of the... Poland, yeah, sorry. But then here we are full sending into Safavids while losing all of these dots to Poland in exchange for us getting 1 dot last phase and 1 dot this phase that cost us our build and forced us to disband everywhere.
Yep.
What are we talking about? That's insane.
Yep. Yeah, I don't really have a defense for that. Apart from, I think that attacking Safavid and hoping that Poland goes in this direction was the only winning play in this game. You don't gain anything more from going into Mughals, from that point. And if Poland attacks you, you lose regardless. So, yeah, I was sort of hoping that this build as well would convince Poland that yes, we are actually doing this and going all in, and we're not going to fight you. But, it's whatever.
It is what it is.
Yes.
And so I believe this is what I saw back in to see.
Yes, it is. I should note. There is one other super important thing that happens on this phase, and this is really important because it happens as a result of the flip with Mughals, and it is something that maybe justifies it a bit more than what was happening with the Safavids, right? Because siding with the Mughals allowed me to move into Gansu and take Tafan, right? Move into Gobi at the same time, and I managed to keep Yakutsk on this line. At this point, Qing talks to me and goes, look, you got an insane position on me, right? But also, neither of us are winning this game as it goes. We're both doing very badly. I will stab Tokugawa if you're prepared to back off me. And of course I take that deal, because I'm gonna lose this front if I don't. Despite the, good position that I've got, it's based on a lot of units that I won't have for very long, right? So, I think he actually just offers me Ikkuri as long as I get out of Gansu and Gobi, and he goes all in this direction. So this is actually really good for us, I think. Right?
I think I don't.
You wouldn't have taken this?
I think we have to. I mean, I accept. Obviously, yeah. Tell them we're accepting for sure. But I want to try to get position.
Mm-hmm.
If he tells me that he's backing out, then I will try to get into Inner Mongolia. Right. I'll try to get into whatever that province is south of Hot.
Shanxi, right? I think.
Yeah. I'll try if he tells me that he's giving me this place, right, Ikkuri, I'll just support myself in there from Karakorum, and I will just push hard. But I think here we have an excuse to get Tokugawa back on side. It's, hey, you said that Qing wouldn't attack you. Obviously he did. Let's take him out together. I want to get the inland dots. Let's go.
Yeah.
And flip it to work with Tokugawa. We have actually a valid excuse for this, and we can probably get hot ick and then be in position to take Quagger if we're in Inner Mongolia. Yeah. So that's my pitch. We can do stuff and we can actually make progress here and then have a safer border. And we're losing everything in the west, so let's make some gains here. And plus we can attack Qing with Mughals still right? That's another solid play. Mughals will go for the stuff in southern China. We take the stuff in northern China. But hey, there's a line there. I don't think we can afford to make peace here. Right, we have a position now, and especially if we are making peace with Mughals, so our southern border is more safe. Let's actually commit to the east and do stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to peace out with Qing here.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, I think you're probably right. I certainly shouldn't be considering going as hard in on here, like, 4 dots, when I'm not looking at dots here. Like, this is a front I should be looking at properly. One of the other things...
that Droids did a worse job at making you want to work with him than Ice Cream Guy. Ice Cream Guy did a really good job at having solid press, at pushing, at explaining, having justifications for stuff, and being like a little less just right.
Ice Cream Guy,
we'd rather work with him.
He also knows what points to press on me, because as you mentioned, Mughals is doing pretty well, right? Not as well as some of the other powers at this point, but they are quite high on the victory condition, and with us working with them, they are probably going to grow a fair bit. Ice Cream Guy was very like, look, Ayutthaya is going down, no matter what. It needs to be the two of us going in on Mughals at a future date, like, or at least keeping them balanced to make sure they don't win this game.
I mean, sure, but obviously that's not going to be you, because you're attacking Safavids with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
And so I thought, my understanding from this position was that we're throwing the Mughals now.
No, so right, like, I never wanted to throw...
not yet?
I wasn't trying to throw to Mughals by doing what I was doing. I was trying to take enough dots to stabilize, right? And hopefully open up enough of a front here that we could have something. I wanted to end on as many dots as possible. Was really what it was.
Yes.
What I was hoping for at the end of the day. I definitely wasn't intending to throw some Mughals, but I can see why you came back in thinking that way, because at this point in a game,
sure,
I think
I came back into this game. I mean, I came into this game saying we just want Safavid to die. That's the only thing we want at this point, right? Which obviously I say, all right, sure, let's do that. I think there is some strategic justification for this position to say if we make the Mughals a huge threat, while we eliminate our biggest rival, who's been our biggest rival throughout this game, in Safavid, we can have a threat that the board needs to work against in Mughals that is our neighbor, so they need us strong and alive to fight with these people later, but we want them to be up to, like, whatever, 70% win con? 80% win con, whatever, while we make growth off of Safavid. And so I'm like, okay, great. That's the game plan. We're going to make the Mughals really big, and then we might not be able to stop them. That's a risk I'm willing to take here. We're not winning this game in most universes anyways, so this gives us the thing. So that's my position where I come in. I'm like, okay, great. We can do this. We're just living on the edge.
Yeah, shall we move ahead to your turn?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, do you want to go straight to the moves, or would you prefer to...
Yeah, because I don't remember anything.
That's very fair, especially at this point. There was one horrible, horrible thing that happens on this turn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that.
Do you remember this by any chance?
I do. I do remember that, yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Why am I playing this game? But yeah, right, that's how... Okay, but I remember now. I'm like, oh, yeah, great. I'm gonna give the Mughals a ton of dots here. Let's be friends.
And then, yeah, so the relevant move here was Uzgen into Turkestan, supported by Yarkand. Obviously, we weren't expecting that
from Yarkand. Like, have some self-respect, man. At least dot me. Don't zero dot.
And so, of all the stabs that happen in the game, this is the one that tilts me the most. They zero dot stab us for Turkestan when they have no other dots they can take from us at, like, any point in the future. Maybe Turfan, potentially, as one.
God.
And when we're suiciding into their next door neighbor, so they could have potentially gotten that one.
Yeah, but their perspective is like, yeah, you're suiciding into my neighbor, and I just want my neighbor to not attack me either. Yes. So I'll support, I'll help them against you, and then neither of you will attack me ever.
So I did have a conversation with Mughals, like, later in the game when I'd calmed down a bit that made me I still hated this move so much, and I was like, I'm gonna dedicate the rest of my game to screwing you over now, because...
Also have to dedicate the rest of our game to screwing Safavids over, and the rest of our game to screwing Poland over.
Yeah, it is...
How can we accomplish all three, Captain Meme? We don't have enough units!
So... Oh, my god. Yeah, there's some points in diplomacy where you just can't do anything. There's so many people going in on you, and I've at this point promised that Poland is not going to take any centers from here. I'm also like, Mughals, you're not going to get any dots from us either. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just all horrendous. And in retrospect, I'm more okay with this, because basically what the Safavids said at this point is, I'm going to be your vassal from now on, because Russia has annoyed me so much. And, like, you can take whatever you need to take to win, just make sure you screw Russia over. And so Mughals did
I accept responsibility for this one. This isn't your fault. This one's mine.
I don't know that it's exclusively your fault, because I was the one who screwed the Safavids over, right?
Well, yes, but I could have been like, hey, I'm so sorry I'm in this position. I got here. It's not great, but, like, it is what it is, and I guess we're going to fight each other. But, like, look, I'm open to find a way to make peace. Like, I can take one of these thoughts, but I'm not going to try to push deeper. Like, we can be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I should actually get my exact quote for this one, because this is an all-time beauty from me. As one of those messages that you send, and you're like, man, why did I send that message? And the answer was because it felt good, and I was really pissed. Mm-hmm. I have to go and find the messages. Actually, I think it's in their void.
Yeah, if you want to, I can cut out while you're looking for
I got it.
Oh, nice.
I got it. There's some predecessor going along with this, but here's the quote. I'm a simple man. If you can give me an offer that involves Russia getting more dots by not attacking you than by attacking you, I'll gladly do it. If not, you can take your grandstanding and shove it up your ass.
This was to Safavids, right?
This was to Safavids. I believe the face that they tell Mughal, I'll be your vassal, let's kill Russia.
Yeah. Because it should be noted, like, my response to Safavids when I went into this, obviously Safavids was seething and they were really angry at me. My response was trying to explain to them why it made strategic sense for me to do this. And I don't know that they accepted any of that, because honestly it's a bit loose on the ground at that point as well, considering I'm losing so many dots. But I was like, you know, I kind of need to make a bulkhead somewhere where I can gain dots in the future. I at least tried to sound a bit reasonable, right? Whereas Ezio didn't.
I said, look, man, you stabbed us like 5 times throughout this game for the entire opening of this game and lied to us the entire time about it. You can't be pissed at us about stabbing you once. Eat shit. And look, I am not proud of sending that. I shouldn't tell people to shove it up their ass in games.
Mm-hmm.
I am not happy. I sent a similar message to Poland at some point earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But Poland, it was like an hour-long argument about bullshit. Where I'm like, you're obviously going to attack us. This was way earlier. Like, just stop. You're going to lose this game, and it's embarrassing. And, like, get over yourself, more or less.
Yeah. I do also want to say, I think my instinct of siding with Poland over Sweden may have been more correct if Ezio was not doing stuff like this and saying, it's obvious that you're going to attack us in future. But hey, carry on.
Yeah, the two different diplomatic styles also don't gel together.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing is look, this is the position that we have, and I'm trying to talk about the position on the board, usually most of the time, less about the relationships between us that we have. And I feel like you were trying to build more of the latter, but then I obviously destroyed all of the relationships a couple of times.
Yeah.
So look, these parts also weren't great. But so I think I can take the blame for Safavids working with Mughals. And I just thought that Mughals was going to work with us instead, because they can take many more dots off of Safavid than they can off of us. And they're on track to just win this game. I think the point that they realized is that look at how many dots they're taking anyways. They don't need to take dots for Sapovitz right now.
Yeah.
So
they're
like Ayutthaya specifically, right? They're like crushing.
Yeah. Particularly in here. That is absolutely true. And yeah.
So yeah. Oh well. And then, but I stick to the like piecing out. I think right with Ching. I don't push any deeper. I'm like, hey, look, we have a thing going. We're fine, right? Ching are working with us. Like, it's not the strategic decision I would have gone with, but hey, it's fine.
Mhm.
And like, I think we have a solid East, right? I go into the face thinking that like Mugals are solid with us, Ching are solid with us, and we're apparently going to take some stuff in Alaska. That's weird.
Are we taking stuff in Alaska?
Not Alaska. Sorry. Whatever.
Kamchatka,
The Russian side of
yeah,
Alaska.
yeah.
Kamchatka. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm probably just covering it because I think there's a chance there's like a retreat or something. I don't remember exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I think we were tapping Yuka Gear to make sure that they couldn't support stuff in and like
Sure.
this. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. Point is, I was working with Cheng. I thought the East was fine. East isn't fine. Mugals zero dotted me. This one tilted me too.
Yeah.
Obviously, because again, when I prepared to like let somebody else take 1,000,000 dots and me get nothing out of the deal, right? I'm like, just work with us. We'll give you everything you ever wanted. Right?
Yeah.
And they'll vassalize you. Sure, I'll give you their dots. You can take all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But oh well. It is what it is.
I would have still been tilted if they'd done it the other way around, Yarkand in instead of Uzgen, but this made me so much more tilted.
Like... yeah, right. If they take it from Yarkand, right, at least they're getting more dots. But again, I think they're literally building everywhere they can already this turn. I think they're +5.
It's probably true, and they're not even out of 2 of their home dots, so they can't build everywhere, right? They're only...
yeah, so it's like, why do they care?
Yeah, I mean, that's completely fair. So, yeah, sorry, Mugals, for going off at you at this point. I think I very rarely rage in diplomacy games anymore. Like, if you caught me maybe 6 years ago playing a diplomacy game, you might have a different experience. But these days, I'm very whimsical and nice all of the time. This
game brought out the worst in both of us.
It really did.
Yeah, I haven't been so pissed about a game of diplomacy... right, I can't remember being so pissed about a game of diplomacy as this one.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and like I've lost friendships over diplomacy.
Have you actually?
Sorry?
I thought that was just a meme. Have you actually?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you know about the ones that I've lost, Captain Me.
We might talk about that after the show. Yeah.
We'll talk off screen. But yeah, so. I've lost literal friendships over games of diplomacy, and I look at those games more fondly than I look at this one.
Yep, I think that's fair. We are going to record this and then never talk about this game ever again.
No, we're going to reference this game, and we're going to reference Fleet Obdorsk, and it's going to inflict psychic damage on me anytime someone says Fleet Obdorsk from now on.
That is true.
Like, if I play Russia in the future, I'll just hold that fleet for the entire game. I refuse to move it. In rage. In protest. Alright. We can go to winter. We're losing what? We're -5 or something?
It's kind of insane, yeah. No, we're -2, apparently. I think we might have got our force.
I mean, look, okay, we got what? Dervin, we got Ik. Right, but then we lost 4 to Poland, and we lost Turkestan. I guess we got Bukhara too, right? Yeah, we got Dervin, Bukhara, Ik. And so then we only lost 5 dots total, so we gained 3. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure, I guess down 2.
Yeah, can I note that Poland didn't even take all of our dots? They gave 1 to Netherlands.
Yeah, whatever.
But yes, anyway, we actually were okay, and I think, like, the fact that we only went -2 despite all this kind of shows what I was trying to do with pivoting so hard that we could take the dots from elsewhere, right?
Absolutely. And like if Mugals work with us and they don't snipe Turkestan, then we're only -1. Mm-hmm. And like -1s are, you can roll with the punches, and then we can make a line, and it's not the end of the world.
Yep.
I think it's reasonable.
But now it is.
If only we attacked Saturday at the start.
Yeah. That is probably my main regrets in this game are going to come from the very early game, even though...
Great. I'm glad. That was my main regret, too.
Yeah, even though I got a lot more angry about the late game than the early game. I mean, I wasn't
Yeah.
angry at all in the early game. I was just finding it very funny that Ezio was, but then I got karma.
Sweet justice. All right, but yeah, I mean, okay, what do we disband like Laptop C, right?
Let's find
Do we,
out.
do we just no? We don't disband both of our fleets. One of those fleets is important later. No, we disband the stupid.
We disband Caspian Sea. This was my coin
Oh
flip.
my!
I remember this.
Because you're doing the winter and you're saying, all right, Safin, it's fine. Everyone else is screwing with us. We screwed with you. All right, sure.
Yeah, I was so... Because at this point, right, if you look at our neighbours, Poland has completely screwed me for the reason of I want to Care Bear to the end of the game and I don't care about winning, which I didn't... I mean, I understand, but I don't respect, right? So I was like, I do not want him to benefit off of this. And Mugles had just one-dotted us for seemingly no reason, and I was incredibly tilted by
Zero-dotted
that.
for no reason.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so... And I'd essentially completely screwed over the Safavids in order to try and give myself a route to go in this game, and then had gotten screwed by the two neighbours who would have most benefited from what I was doing. And so I was just like, Safavid, look, I'm really sorry for taking this in the direction I did. I have screwed you over and have, you know, paid the price for it. At this point, you know, you're the one person I can be least mad at in this area. I'm gonna take Caspian Sea off the board and to make sure that we can't continue attacking you, because, I mean, that's really all that fleet is useful for, right? So yeah, at this point, this was like a turning point in the game, and I think the spectators found it super interesting. I did read a little bit of the spectator chat afterwards. I didn't read very much of it because I was like, it brings back bad memories. But there was a point at which I was basically ranting in my private voice saying, you know, at this point of the game, I've got to change my own objectives to do specific things, and I wonder how this is going to go down with the Diplo Strats audience, because I know there are a lot of diplomacy players who do not respect people playing out of rage or out of, you know, not caring about the number of SCs they have anymore. And I think I had been pushed to the degree that I'm just not interested in my SC count anymore. My objectives are to screw with certain people. And the spectators were like, this'll be interesting to see what the comments on the YouTube video are. So I am also quite interested to see what the comments on the YouTube video turn out to be. Because, yeah, I think it's kind of reasonable at this point to stop caring as much about your own result and just go for this is what I want to do. We've
lost most of our win equity, right? It's unlikely we're going to win this game. And so each progressive mistake from here reduces our win equity less and less, right? We're already in the like sub 1% mark.
Yep.
So from here, right, we're losing so little.
Yeah. Exactly. And you can see my other disband is on the Qing front, because again, they were the people who I mean, Qing is one of the people I blame the least of what happened here. We were trying to get Tokugawa to go in on them, right? I declined the Qing peace treaty, and then Toku screwed us over, and now Qing went backwards. I think I'm pretty pro Qing at this point of the game. And Qing has outright told me, I will stick with you to the end, because, you know, at this point neither of us can win, so we may as well just stay together with the... Whether you should believe that coming from Ice Cream Guy is another question, but I do think he's kind of out of range of the win at this point. He's got 20
I mean,
points.
Tokugawa did believe it.
Yeah. This is true. Is there anything else you want to say here before I go into the spring?
Let's go to the spring, man.
Okie dokie. Right, so spring phase. So Qing is moving south hard against Mughals, right? And I am moving everything to this border to block Poland and to screw with Mughals as much as I can, which really isn't very much. It was primarily getting Qing to go in on Mughals that screwed Mughals over in this case, and I think Qing was probably considering doing that anyway, given where their units were. but Qing let me know that Mughals was going to be supporting them up to Tehran, so I took that opportunity to tap this and make sure that I get Turkestan back off them so that they don't benefit from that stupid 0 dot stab. Yeah. And then the anti-Poland moves over here I'm actually really happy with, because they look pretty bad. We do end up with a Polish army in Verkhoturoi, right? But I think they end up in the... Like, this was the best possible counter move to what the Polish were doing here. I did manage to keep them out of Don, which took risking Astrakhan, because they could have put 2 on that, right? I figured they'd position around here. Stopping the army getting out of Moscow is huge, because so much of the momentum requires them to push armies through there. And so by backlogging one army, you're actually backlogging multiple. There's now 3 units queued to try and get through this gap. This unit is completely isolated, and we managed to bounce Arkhangelsk back as well and get another army onto this front line. So, all in all, I was just really happy with the anti-Poland moves here. Even though, you know, it's just defending.
But it's defending in an efficient manner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taking our units and saying, look, we told you weren't going to get anything deeper. You're actually not going to get anything deeper. I know you thought you were going to get this dot. You're not going to get this dot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, precisely. Yep. And them getting into this dot. I mean, so other things that are happening here. Safavid is just taking these dots while I'm backing out because, again, I've decided who I'm going to screw over. It's not going to be you, Safavid, because I screwed you before, right? And it didn't work to my benefit. I don't know if you actually continue that idea or whether you were still angry at the Safavids at this point.
You cut out there, Mima. What was that?
Sorry, I don't remember whether you continued this idea of being mad at Mughals and Poland, or whether you were still anti-Safavid at this point.
I mean, I just wanted to watch the world burn. I was rooting for Mapuche.
Yes, okay, so this is gonna become hyper-relevant, and I know Mapuche has been commenting on the videos. I'm really sorry, Mapuche, that I, never messaged you back when you tried to message me. Because Mapuche is one of those players who actually takes the message of you need to talk to everyone on the board and try and balance things out in other regions to heart, right? And I massively respect their play. I've seen it in a few different games. But here, I was just so out of it with this game. I'm not going to spend any time communicating to people who aren't directly my neighbors. So there's, our chat with Mapuche is mostly, I think, Ezio sending, very short answers, and then during my phases, it's Mapuche sending us a couple messages and no response. And they are determined. They keep doing it, over multiple phases, but I never send them a response. But yeah, they are doing incredibly well in this game, despite not talking to us. Despite us not talking to them, obviously.
Yeah, because turns out Russia doesn't matter much to Mapuche. And so that's why I'm rooting for them to win. Because I want Mapuche to win. I don't want to be involved in a throw or anything. I want this game to be done. I want it to be over, and then our hands are clean, we don't have any problems, and then we're just done.
Yes. And notably,
that'd be great.
Look, so England and Mapuche are pretty close to the victory condition at this point. The Mughals are also fairly close, but they are getting attacked full force by Qing. So they are losing dots at this point. And I think this is the year that England comes to us and asks us, hey, can I have Spitz? Actually, no, it's not the year, right?
Not yet.
It's the...
Nope.
Okay, never mind.
We have way more time, buddy.
Really? How many more years are there?
I don't even think it might be. It might be next year, but I don't think it's next year. Where's the Poland fleet?
That's true. That's a really good question.
Right? It's coring Trondheim. It's going to finish. I think it's 2 years from now.
Is it really?
It's going to finish coring Trondheim. I think. Wait, is that an army in Trondheim?
That is an army.
Where's the northernmost? Where's the northernmost Poland fleet? Because that Poland fleet gets somewhere important. right?
Yeah. Okay. We'll circle
Don't
back
worry
to
about
that
it.
in a bit.
We'll come
you
back.
You didn't hear anything I said there. It's fine. We're gonna have to commentate so many more years of this. It's like this
Why?
parts of the game all blurred together in my head because there was a point where it just became like I'm so done.
Yeah, because our eyes were filled with like the red haze of rage every time we looked at the screen. And so it literally made the board look fuzzy to us. And our memory is blurry because it was seen through that view.
Yep. Anyway, so as we go into the full turn here, this is you taking over again. I think you don't generally like try and do much negotiation at this point, right? You're a little more checked out. And I was kind of checked out as well, right?
But I was trying to defend respectfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically take this position and do whatever you can with it, right?
Yep.
And you do actually manage to kick the Poles out of Verkosoroy, and manage to kick them out of Vologda, and you managed to stop them. Yeah. And you managed to stop them getting into Don. So I think these last two phases, with respect to the Polish line, are actually insanely good, like, with respect to where we were at before that point.
Right? We committed to an enemy, and, like, everyone else is free to do whatever they want to us. We're losing dots everywhere, right? We lost all 3 of the dots in, like, the Central Asia. But we didn't lose anything in the East, right? Because Qing didn't attack us, so... We restabilized. We popped 2 Polish armies at this point, right? Because we popped that one. We popped that one.
I think that one can retreat to Kazan, actually.
It can, yeah, but we popped Vologda instead.
Yep.
Unfortunate. I mean, or he could disband it and bear with me, rebuild in the West. You'll never. This is actually a time when I think you can stab Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Like. I think Austria's pushing enough of his units west. He's committing now to the coast. I think this is prime time where I think it would have been better if he'd made a stab this fall to take like Bremen and Kiel, right? Because he could have taken both.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is like the time where you can make that play. You've got your army that's literally holding in Warsaw, right? That can walk into Ruthenia.
Yep.
Right. This is you finished your core in Bakhchisaray, so that can build a fleet that can walk into Black Sea, which can help with Constantinople. Like, I think here is where Poland actually has his chance.
Yep. Absolutely.
Have to take it. But hey, he didn't.
He's already decided not to do that. He does take the 2 dots off the Netherlands up here, but they're not going to be used for anything useful, right? It is just killing everyone who is in Austria.
Why not? Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, and elsewhere, I mean, it looks like at this point you have, so you actually do lose Turkestan because...
Yeah, exactly. We lose everything over here. Yep.
Yep.
Because Poland chooses to make that happen.
Poland, makes that happen on this front.
Because Poland's like, oh, Russia's going to defend against us. I need Russia to lose dots. I lose as many units as quickly as possible because then Russia's going to collapse, and then maybe I can take something. I don't think appreciating that we are going to disband literally every unit everywhere else on the map before we let Poland take another dot off of us. At least I am. I don't know about you.
It depends a bit on the coin flip, but I would be of a similar mindset. The only person I'm more annoyed at this point is Mughals. So, yeah.
God, I could have tapped the Arcant here. Man.
Oh,
yeah, this was a tactical thing. There were a couple of tactics that I should have made differently that I just wasn't paying enough attention to. And it's technically a guess, right? Because Yarkand could have tapped Turfan, but obviously he's going to do this most of the time. Whatever.
Yeah, I think it's fair at this point in the game as well because you're a bit checked out, right?
No, it's not. I should do good tactics, right? It's not an excuse. But I think in this case, right, it's a guess, right? Because he can have Yarkin support Uzcan up to Turfan, so I don't think it's terrible to do the support.
Yeah.
I think the moves that happen are the more likely moves to occur. I think I'm supposed to tap Yarkin, basically, is the answer. But I didn't. That's why I didn't.
Yep.
It's fine.
Alright, so we're gonna do a little bit of a whistle-stop tour from here. Oh my god, no, this is the other thing that happens this round. I don't know if... did the Ching Tokugawa thing like matter in your press at all at this point, or were you just not paying any attention to it because it's whatever?
Well, nothing mattered in my press, but I was really pissed about it.
Okay, you were, because this was the final nail in the coffin of me to caring about this game. And actually, I say that the Mugles thing tilted me the most. The only reason the Mugles thing tilted me more than what's about to happen is that because of the Mughal thing happening, I was checked out of the game by this point, so I cared less about the fact that Qing is about to do what they're about to do. But you note here, they move out of Shenjing, they move out of Pyongyang, they let Tokugawa walk into Hanyang, and they let them walk into Shenjing here, right?
Yeah. And this is just like the most explicit throw and the most explicit context. Go to the right real quick to just look at the center count real quick.
Yeah.
Where we see Tokugawa's on 16. How low is Qing right now?
Qing is on 14.
It's so there's 3 centers back.
Little worse,
right? But then look at the
percentage-wise, but
it's sure. But then look at the centers, right? Because Qing is taking dots from Mughals right now. If you look at the news over here, right? We see that here they're getting at least 1 dot. I think they. 2. I don't know if they get 2.
This one.
They're getting stuff.
Yeah, this one gets lost.
And Ayutthaya is a viable ally, and then we'll work with them against Mughals, etc. But from here, Qing feel that they have lost all win equity and are going to just let Tokugawa take everything and win the game.
Yeah. So this was explicitly the reason that was given. As we mentioned earlier, Ezio considers what Poland was doing throwing, but that one's a little bit of a question mark because
people don't. I'm in the minority. That's fine.
Because care bearing with someone to the end is kind of something, and you could maybe argue that Poland's chance of winning from that position was low enough that it's not worth stabbing the ally and ruining their game. In this case, Qing is making progress, and they're also just, I don't know, I expected...
right? And, can win.
Yeah, I expected a little...
They can win this war.
I expected a little different from Ice Cream Guy, just in general, but his opinion at this point was specifically, I screwed Tokugawa over by stabbing them when I backed out of all of these centers to get you out of Gansu and Gobi, right? Which I don't think is that reasonable, saying you screwed them over by doing that, because it was a game move, right?
It's just diplomacy.
Yeah. He said that specifically he didn't think he had enough of a chance to win for it to be worth it, so he was going to outright make Tokugawa win the game, as an apology for making that stab in the first place. And I don't remember what your response to this was. My response, I can't remember if I outright said it to him or if I just ranted about it in my void a bit, but my response was kind of dude, you're screwing us over even more for this, and...
we can't win, so who cares?
At this point.
We don't really matter, right? Us losing dots, it doesn't really matter, because we're just, how many dots do you have right now? 10 or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you just show. I'm actually curious, how many dots do we have? I don't know how big of a piggy bank we are.
So we have 15 before this phase, yeah. We have 12 after, right?
Sure. So we're still 12 dot piggy bank, right? And so okay, fine. People can smash the piggy bank, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I said anything about this. I was disgusted. This is embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
This is an invitational that you made. It's called the Ice Cream Invitational, and you're throwing when you have 13 centers. That's...
Yeah.
Come on. I did a relatively good job of not saying anything during the game. Then at some point, people started discussing this stuff, and Ice Cream Guy explicitly asked me what I thought. And then I'm like, I don't think we should have this discussion. And he insisted, and I said, okay, fine, let's have this discussion.
Yeah, and I don't want to put someone on blast during a commentary.
Our commentary,
because it's...
So I think try to drop it.
Yeah, but I think that the end game of this, right, is going to be super interesting because it demonstrates all the different ways that people throw in a game. Because there are at least 3... so there's the Poland thing that we've discussed that is potentially a throw, right? There is also the Safavid thing.
Not trying to play to maximize your win.
Yeah, so this is just I respect my ally enough that I am not going to attack them when I don't think that I have a good enough chance of winning from doing so. Which some people consider a throw, some people do not. There's the Safavid thing of I think I've been screwed over so much that I don't have a chance to win, so I'm gonna offer my vassalization to Mughals in return for screwing over someone who attacked me. Right?
I don't think this is a throw from Safavid.
Yeah,
I think this is just a strategic alliance play, right?
They-
This is just like, hey, being in a good position and then like navigating to be in a better spot means shifting allies. If that means lying to say you're going to be someone's vassal, it's fine. I don't think Safavid is intending to like let Mughals win the game without opposing them. I think they're just saying whatever they can to be strong, and that's, hey, I'll be your vassal. But being your vassal means getting supported into Turkestan and taking Bukhara, Khiva, Turkestan. Like that's perfect, and having a demilitarized border, right? Like that's just.
Yeah.
I don't think that, it depends on a lot on how Safavid are thinking about it. If Safavid are planning on letting Mughals win the game, then okay, fine, that's a throw. They've given up. But on the board, this is a good position.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything here that's related to a throw, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's they've certainly managed to get a pretty solid number of dots out of it, a lot more than I would expect of someone who's vassalized. And I should say that most of the discussion of having vassalized comes from my discussion with Mughals, not from speaking with Safavid directly about this, so that I may be
and that's what makes me say, like, I don't think we can call this a throw, because throwing like requires the express idea of not trying to win the game anymore.
Yeah.
That's when it's a throw. Doing weird stuff that gives you bad positions because you're trying to win the game and you think it'll work is just weird play. That's diplomacy. That's why we do this, because these weird plays often work out, and it's really difficult to figure out when they will and when they won't. And so I don't want to say that someone's throwing because they're like giving themselves a temporarily weaker position in pursuit of a stronger position in the long run.
Yeah.
Right. But we know what Poland said. I don't want to stab my buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
But you know what Ice Cream Guy said? I want to let Tokugawa win the game, and I'm going to give him I'm going to do whatever I can by any means necessary.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are like, I am not trying to win this game anymore.
Yeah, this one wasn't so much I want to let Tokugawa win the game as I'm going to make Tokugawa win this game by giving them my dots.
Sure, same.
Which is,
yeah,
it's a bit different from the other ones specifically, because I think the problem with doing this as opposed to something else that's going on, right? And I should also note, one of the other potential throws that happens, well, there's one in the future that we'll discuss when we get there, but I think plenty of people thought I was throwing to Poland when I pull back and go somewhere else and just go full into here, right? But
absolutely, on the board that looked like a throw. It could have been, and if the idea behind it was, I want to give Poland as many dots as possible so Poland wins this game, it would have been.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, right? It was, hey, I want to have a solid border, and I'm going to pull back because I need to get dots elsewhere. And maybe by agreeing that he can take everything whenever, he won't take everything immediately. And so maybe we can slow it down by not defending, because trying to defend, we don't actually defend anything anyways.
Yes.
Right? So it's trying to turn a bad defensive position into something diplomatic, right? But you were trying to sell something that he already had.
Yeah.
So I don't think it mattered to him very much.
I think the big difference with the Tokugawa Ching throw is that actively trying to make someone win is a bit different from keeping your alliance together so that that person has a possibility of winning, like just not stabbing them, right? Because Poland isn't giving Austria any dots here. They're keeping their line. Like, Austria can probably stab for it, but I think Poland are of the opinion that Austria would not do that, and they are not willingly giving Austria dots to try and push them across the line. Doing that specifically feels a little more disrespectful to the other players in my mind, and it's a really tough one.
They're
because there
on the
are
same spectrum.
Yeah, there are positions where I would say it's completely justified to give someone else the win because you feel you have a great reason to do so. And at the end of the day, diplomacy is all about what a person feels like they have a reason to do, right? People do their own thing that isn't directly correlated to their objectives all the time, because that's human nature, and that's just what we do. But in this specific scenario, I don't think Qing had any reason that I would consider justified to do that. So it felt a bit worse to me, and it's bringing the end of the game much closer for the other players, and sort of making... I mean, if Toku gets boosted up to a win, if they get boosted by all of the Qing dots, which seems a bit unlikely to happen soon, but it could, it's potential they win a solo victory here, and then everything that Mapuche did and everything that England did and whatnot doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, the solo's kind of tough, but it's just, it could. Like, if Tokugawa can take these Qing dots easily, plus, notably, Qing is going to push on us, because they've said so, and so a lot of these eastern dots are also going to go there. So if Tokugawa, like, pumps down a couple armies to, like, capitalize as much as possible and get as much inland, maybe they can. It'd be brutal.
Yeah. So okay, so if we... our Imperial Diplomacy 2.5 series, which was my Spain game that, spoiler alert, I soloed because people threw to me at the end of the game, right? I potentially could have pulled... I probably would not have pulled off a solo otherwise. I think I would have done a joint win. Had something...
doesn't throw, it's not solo, yeah.
Yeah, it had something very similar in that there were other powers on other parts of the board whose efforts were made completely irrelevant by the fact that that throw happened, and they weren't directly involved in that throw happening in the first place. So it did feel disrespectful to their game. I'm panning over here because it was Athabasca in that game, and they played an incredible game and got no reward at the end of it, right? Except people saying that they played an incredible game in the commentary. But at the end of the day, I soloed it, which means they came away with nothing. I think that one was a bit different to this specific instance, because in that case it was because someone was being completely wiped off the board by the coalition that was opposing me. Whereas if you look at what's happening with Qing here, no one's attacking them, right? There's nothing... The reason that they've decided that they want to throw to Toku is because they feel bad about having stabbed them before, which... for every individual diplomacy player, there are different things that you're willing to go for, and everyone will judge them separately, right? And in my case, I don't respect that as much.
Doesn't align with theirs, they're going to be embarrassed about what you're doing.
Yes, precisely. So this one just tilted me a lot, but not as much as other things in this game, because at this point I had kind of checked out.
This one got to me, right? Remember when I was talking about the things that there was some stab. Was it a Poland stab? There was something I was like, this isn't even in the top 3 most annoying things.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the most annoying thing. I detest it. Yeah. Don't do this, please. Don't invite me to a game and then throw this game when you have a winnable position and is playable and we're years out from the end and who knows how this game is going to go. Please don't do that.
Yeah. I'm sorry for being so harsh in this commentary, by the way. This is like... I think this is specifically to contextualize something that happens over the next couple turns, which is gonna be kind of similar to this, but in a little bit of a different context.
We throw, okay?
Okay, yeah.
We try to throw. That's what we're getting to.
You can't outright say it. You're spoiling
that. Us throwing. That's how pissed we were about this game of diplomacy. Not because we want somebody to win, because we want the game to end. Please get us out.
Alright, so we'll get to discussing that. What I want to just make very clear is that what we're going to do as we go forward and discuss that specific thing, I just wanted to put it in the context of why I treat this differently to what is about to happen, right? And at the end of the day, everyone is free.
Our throws are the perfectly justified, respectable, reasonable throws. Their mistakes are awful, terrible strategic decisions that are going to brutalize whatever. And just people, please put this in a meme. And then you have the other one where their throws are unacceptable and unforgivable and evil and awful, and they're whatever, right? And so ours are totally fine, right? And it's just exactly the same thing. And I believe it, because our throw is to a much smaller extent, and we'll get to it. I want to just skip to it. I don't care about anything else that happens in this game, okay?
I'm gonna quickly look at, because there is stuff that's relevant to me that happens up to that point.
Sure.
Right? And I think
it's pretty show the stuff that
anyway.
You care about.
It is pretty soon every way, because
there's the Polish fleet. Oh, thank God! Oh, thank God!
So it is.
Oh, praise be! Oh, hallelujah! We don't have another year.
Yeah. So at this point, I should say before this point, Toku had been Qing had been throwing to Toku. They'd said to us, "Hey, I'm gonna give Toku dots to get them over the line." Right. they were initially saying that they would not attack us in the process after they decided to attack us in the process at this point, which tilted me even more, right? Because,
because now they're even taking dots from us in pursuit of their chosen throw target, which is, like, ugh.
Yeah, and I actually want to see if I can find the specific message that I send after I see this, because I have a message in my void, which is
kind of receipts.
Yeah, okay, so it's actually a little long, but I'll read out a bit of it. Maybe the toughest thing about diplomacy is accepting that sometimes there's just nothing for you to do, especially when you've always had that mantra of fight to the last or such like. I really want to have an impact on the end of the game, but I don't know what that impact would actually be. I don't want to throw. I have very little ability to screw over anyone I actually want to screw over. I could try and invest a bunch of time in convincing Safavids to go after Mughals or let me defend against Poland, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of effort for something that's A, unlikely to work, and B, doesn't actually really matter in the long run. We're just choosing which way we lose here. And I say this because up to this point in the game, in my void, I've been like, I think my objectives in this game are to screw over Poland and screw over Mughal, and then I got another person who decided that to like screw us over in a way, and once you've added that many people to the screw over list, you can't do anything about it, right? Because there's too many. Like, you don't have the units to screw over that many people. So it's like, why am I caring so much about screwing over specific people in this game? I should just check out and let them do their own thing, and like, if an opportunity comes up where we can actually impact this game, then whatever, we can take it, but I don't care about my impact on this game anymore. Like, it just doesn't matter. So that kind of explains where I was at on this turn. I think you reached that point earlier than I did.
No.
Nope.
I'm still trying to not lose, but I'm like, I'm not going to like give up yet. But I'm not able to press as much, or I'm not as willing to press as much.
Yeah.
I think other games might have started at this point that I cared a lot more about.
That
took up more of my time. And so, like, when I'm allocating resources for diplomacy press time in a day, I will spend my time on games that matter more.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So, that, I mean, the moves here don't really matter very much, right? This is not agreed with Poland. This is just me, like, making sure that they can't push in this way and trying to bounce them out of Don.
But like not committing too much to Don because you recognize it's probably not going to matter. They've got enough units nearby; it'll be okay, etc.
Yep, and Qing comes in with the stab on us, which we don't have any units to defend against.
All right.
So here's the position, Ezio. Do you want to talk about what happens now?
England asked me to support him into Spitsbergen, and I said yes.
This is what we've been building up towards. It's one dot.
This has been the whole thing, right? So we look at the board. There's a solid chance that England can actually get a solo victory here.
Not a solo.
He's pretty close to the top. Join with Mapuche. Sorry, but the two of them can solo over everyone else, and there's a reasonable chance. But they need to get a ton of dots to do it. And if you look at the board, actually, what happened in South America and stuff. England is set to take a lot. I think England stabbed Poland last turn, maybe? I don't even remember. But the point is, England's set to take...
about to stab Poland. They didn't do it on the last turn. Oh, no, they did. Wait, no. These are arranged bounces,
these bounces look arranged,
Yeah, I think they
stabbed on Bay of Panama. But yeah, it's like, England and Mapuche can take a ton of dots. And these are people who we've been... I've had a good relationship with the two of them. They haven't screwed me, I haven't screwed them, not that I've had agency to do anything in any of these regards, and like these people are pleasant, so sure, I don't particularly care. And if anyone looks at my position and tells me that we have more than a 1% chance, 0.1% chance, tell me how many times you have to play this game and how many different universes where Russia can actually get a result out of this game. I'm not sure, right? It might be literal 0. I don't think it's literal 0. We still have dots, so stuff can happen. But, like, I don't care. I want this game to end, but this is diplomacy, and so you can't just like leave,
Mhm.
right? You can't resign. You're not allowed. So let's get this game to end. If the two of them joint victory, that's great. You know who we want to screw over? Mughal, Qing, Tokugawa, Safavid, and Poland, right? We have 5 people we want to screw over. None of them are involved in this win, and if it doesn't end right now, Mughals and Tokugawa both get to be part of it. So, okay, sure. Let's have the game end right now.
Yep.
I'd convoy England into a center if I could. And I was talking. I mentioned this to him. Hey, if you want to take with an army, then I can convoy something in later to go for it. But I don't think there's any armies to convoy in. So I agree to support Greenland Sea into Spitsbergen. Right? We're playing this throwing bullshit. Fine.
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's end it.
And like this is one of the really interesting dynamics about throwing, right? Because there's something that feels wrong to me about throwing to someone because you like that person, but it doesn't feel as wrong to me to throw to someone because you don't like someone else.
Yeah, because one of these things happens a lot more common in diplomacy. Spite is a powerful motivator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's in a sense it's because I think the other player could have planned for you being really pissed at them by not pissing you off as much, right? Whereas if you're throwing to a neighbor who you just like a lot, there's nothing the rest of the board can do about the fact that you like them, right? That's just...
But if you're throwing against me because I've pissed you off specifically, then at least I had agency on my own loss.
Yeah. Shall we move ahead to the moves? Or do you want to
Sure.
talk
I mean,
about...
you can see that, in fact, I do support England into Spitsbergen.
Yes.
And it makes me very satisfied to see Poland get bounced out.
And this is actually super relevant, because England ends up 1 dot above the line to win the game. So they need to be... This is in the earlier version of Imperial Diplomacy, where it was a 25% gap you need over the other players to declare impunity. Now it's 35%, but England just crosses that 25% bar by taking Spitsbergen. This is an incredibly relevant territory. Unfortunately for us, Mapuche does not. They get so close, they are 1 dot away, but they're within range of Mughals, so the game does not end. And I think there were a bunch of like misguesses that they had, which, in fact, this doesn't look like a misguess. I remember something unfortunate happening for the Mapuche somewhere on the board that stopped them from winning here.
Again, sorry, South America. Does somebody take Chiloe?
No, they keep.
No, they move
Chiloe.
out. Sorry, I missed the read. Yeah. Okay.
I
don't know.
I didn't notice this at the time. The little Spanish holiday destination. It's probably over here somewhere, right? I think they lost a bunch of guesses in this area or something. Well, why are they coring with everything?
Well, they're fleets and they can't support hold each other.
That's
and
true.
Nothing is lost over there. But yeah, having Celebes Sea cover Manado instead of support holding, right?
Yeah,
They could have support held, and then that would have done it.
that would have. I think realistically, as Toku, if you know that you're stopping a win by doing this, you always have to go to Manado so that you can guarantee that you get one of the two. But the other nations on the board didn't have as much, or they didn't know that this was an instant threat to win, because I think we weren't the only people who helped them a little bit, right? I might have been.
Now, if you look at like Shoshone, I think.
Yeah, they walk out, right? So, yes, that's where we're at. This is the turn that Diplostrats attempts to throw a game, and this was the one that the spectators were going, this is going to be super interesting to see the comments as well. Like, now that the Diplostrats heroes have turned to the dark side and thrown a game, how are people going to react to that? Are they going to view it as more justified than other people's throws simply because they like the Diplostrats guys? Or is it because we have more of a chance to explain ourselves, maybe, than the other players
We have more of a what? Sorry, you cut out there.
more of a chance to explain ourselves here. Because bear in mind, to
I
the people...
mean, all of the above.
Yeah, the people who are watching this, we are being very harsh about some other people here. They do not get a voice to defend themselves in this commentary, so please
Well, they
bear
do.
that in
Go
mind.
talk to the other one, the English one, right? So these people are in there, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's actually true. So there is a second commentary series that's happening over on another channel with a bunch of the players who won. Notably, it won't include Ching or Poland, who are people that we've talked about in this. So you won't get every perspective, but you will get more perspectives than just ours. And this is part of why I always highlight other commentary channels as well. Don't get all of your diplomacy stuff from Diplostrats, because you're hearing two people's perspective on a game, right? There's always more perspectives than that, and it's kind of interesting to delve into it and widen your horizons on on what other people might be thinking at the time, not just what we guess that they're thinking. That said, do keep watching Diplostrats, because that's that's important to us.
Ultimately, this is why I think it's actually important that we showed this game.
Yes.
Because I don't want to pretend like we never get pissed and we never do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just want it out of the game. Right? I want this game to end. And if it ends this year with the people that we want to win, that's great. But...
Yep. I mean, I agree completely. This is... like, sometimes your heroes do stuff like this. To those of you who think that we're your heroes, which we're probably not, we're antagonists in most things, I think.
I think I'm the antagonist and you're the hero, right?
Oh, this is true, actually. This is something we found out in Chaos Games for sure. But yes, this was Ezio's turn, but I was completely on board with this. I was going in the void. Yeah, I 100% agree we need to throw this game and get out of it. So, very much a joint decision.
Okay, also, need is strong. You never need to throw.
Okay.
I want to throw and get the game out of it.
That's more relevant.
Yeah. So, you never need to throw. That much is very much the case.
Yes. So we do that. Yeah, we don't succeed in throwing, and at this point, I think we can skip through the rest of the game because nothing else relevant happens. Are you all right with that?
It's just one more year where all of them just like they get to their like 5-way or whatever, and then they call it a day.
Yeah,
I think.
We just disband random armies that aren't in dots, right, and try and defend what we have left. I say defend what we have left. What I actually apparently mean is stop Poland from getting anything else.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
Respect.
And then here, I mean, Ching even throws us a nice little support hold at the end of the game. But Poland does indeed never get Verkhoturoi. And we end the game on 2 supply centers out of a 48 victory condition. Certainly not the best performance of all time. I think there was no end scoreboard, so I just copied.
We didn't eliminate it.
We didn't get eliminated. That is true. That I don't like considering that an achievement, but it is a bit of an achievement.
Not really. It's embarrassing, is what it is. But hey.
But yeah, you will note that Safavid and Mughals stay strong towards the end of it, and I think that was solidified by me being, well, me and Ezio both being what we were towards them, right? Me in my actions and Ezio in his words. But yeah, Mughals makes it over the line. So Mapuche gets to the victory, England does too, Tokugawa gets there, Austria gets there, and notably Austria gets there because, of course, Poland never attacked them. They might have made it in any case, but that's a big contributing factor here.
If Poland attacks? No. Unlikely. Anyways.
But I think we didn't talk about Ambrosius's game basically at all. This is another one that I recommend you focus on the other commentary on Tanglewood's channel. Because Austria played a fantastic game. Austria is a really hard country to win as, especially a hard country to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fleets into the Mediterranean as. And that is the kind of forward planning that wins you the game as Austria.
I don't think you're ever going to see another Austria have more control over a Med than in this game.
Yes. So I highly recommend checking out that video and looking at what the Austrian is doing as the game goes through as well. We didn't focus very much on it here. But yeah, he makes it over the line, and Mughals does.
Austria this game was, hey, attack Poland. Hey, attack Poland. hey, attack Poland. And Austria kept saying, yeah, I'll definitely attack Poland later.
And notably, in the Austrian case, it ends up being correct, right? They make the win anyway.
Yeah.
So you can absolutely win as a Care Bear sometimes. But you want the Care Bear to be the Care Bearing to be in your.
I don't think anyone gets pissed at someone who Care Bears their way to a win. I think people get pissed at people who Care Bear their way into a loss.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, so those are the 5 victors. And actually, Poland is next on the list at 31, so they're at 68%, which is, of course, more than 25% down, which is why these 5 were able to declare victory at this stage. There might be a question here of should Mapuche have tried to push for a win, but I think at this point in a game, especially when Toku is being thrown dots, it makes sense for everyone to just call it. And I think we weren't the only people who wanted out of the game at this point.
It's also really, really difficult to get a solo when you're already at this joint victory condition. Because if someone tries to go for a solo, and I think draw votes are public, so it's very obvious who would win, like who is declining and going for the win.
Yeah.
They're gonna stop you. Tokugawa has fleets in the Pacific, and so you can lose your holdings. Like England has fleets in the Atlantic. You can lose stuff there. So it's just, I don't know. I think I don't think you can reasonably solo here, and there's a chance you get cut. So don't risk it.
I think that's completely fair. So, and well played to everyone who made it into that win. Like, at the end of the day, it's a pretty impressive thing to win a game of Imperial diplomacy, and I think everyone here had a different path to getting there, and they all won. So, congratulations on that, and sorry that we couldn't show more of your gameplay in this video, and again, I recommend people go and check it out in the video that's covering the entire board. But this was our perspective on the game. I hope people enjoyed it. We didn't.
Yeah.
But it's finally over, and that's something to celebrate in itself, right?
Sure. Yeah, we can celebrate that it's done. Not that it happened, but that it's done.
Indeed. This has been the Ice Cream Invitational. Ezio, do you want to say anything to finish off it?
Go watch the other videos. Get their perspective. Please actually read what they have to say and to justify their throws. Don't villainize anyone.
Yep.
We did. I'm not happy with how we handled this, but also it is what we did, so.
Yeah. I completely agree. Make sure you get other people's perspectives, and especially for those who aren't in the Tanglewood video, all of these voids and stuff are accessible. You can go and read a player's thoughts in the server. I think in this specific video I'm gonna link directly to the Ice Cream Invitational server in case anyone wants to go through and read that stuff, because it's important to get more perspectives than just our own. So
we spend 2 hours shitting on people, which is all that this video was.
I don't want to say that. It's telling the story of our experience. The problem is that the story is not a fun one for us to tell.
Sure.
But thank you for enduring your way through this video. I hope it's been at least interesting to you. And I know it went from being a fun and whimsical concept into this whole thing of how do people deal with being in a painful situation for however many months. I hope it's been interesting to hear. So, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.